you also said that you know about the impact to her because your family members died.
Right.
Let's talk a little more about that. Were your family members murdered?
No comparison.
Thank you. I want to make that very clear. It's a natural part of life. We expect people to die of other causes. No one expects their mother and their 11-year-old brother to be shot in front of them. There is no comparison. So you can't possibly know the impact to the victim.
Not.
I'd also like to ask that you please not refer to the victim as your girlfriend any longer. She wasn't your girlfriend at the time. She was your ex-girlfriend, and out of respect, I would appreciate if you would stop. You've said girlfriend about 22 times now. Please don't do that.
It was back in 1981 when this man went to the home of his ex-girlfriend's house to talk to her. When her mother answered the door and told him to leave, he shot her. Then when her 10-year-old brother ran into the kitchen to see what had happened, he shot him too. He then kidnaps his ex-girlfriend, does the unconscionable, and probably would have killed her too had she not outwitted him. Now, he was sentenced to 1,000 years in prison, but because of agenda-driven legislation, he has a chance for parole. As a matter of fact, he just had a parole hearing 2 years ago. I would have brought it to you in the return of segment, except we were not recording Connecticut parole hearings at the time. Now, we know that this crime was shocking, insane, that it would make sense for him to spend the rest of his life in prison. But for all of those out there who are drinking the agenda driven Kool-Aid, who are saying, surely someone at the age of 19 who's not fully developed should have a chance at freedom, this hearing is for you. For you to see just how those who commit these crimes, they're not like us. Their minds don't work like ours. They are not wired the same way. This hearing is for you. So next time legislation is put into the books to get passed, legislation that puts the monsters before the victims, that allows these monsters to re-victimize the victims time and time and time again, think about this hearing. Maybe you can come to your senses before you vote for somebody who lobbies on behalf of monsters. Not everybody is wired the same way, and you will soon see exactly what I mean by that. And with that, let's jump in.
Mr. Lanahu, can you please state your name and inmate number for the record?
Mark Paul Lemios, 103-702.
Thank you. This is a public hearing in accordance with Chapter 14, Freedom of Information Act, Connecticut General Statute 1-200, which applies to this procedure. If you have any questions concerning the above, please bring your questions to the attention of the panel at this time. Again, this is a public hearing. Mr. Lemieux, do you have any questions?
No.
And would you like to proceed with the hearing at this time?
I don't understand what you said.
My question was, are you willing to proceed with the hearing at this time?
Yes.
Thank you. As previously indicated, this is a Public Act 23-169 hearing. It's being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Mark Lamicha, inmate number 103702. Mr. Lamicha is serving a sentence of 22 years to life for murder, assault in the first degree, and kidnapping in the second degree. There is an offender accountability plan in place that has been reviewed and shows he's completed programming such as voices, anger management, and alternatives to violence. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the RT falls within the low range risk for recidivism. Mr. Lamicha, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole, and you may begin.
Thank you. To the Board of Parole, thank you for the opportunity to come before you today. First, I would like to say I take full responsibility for my actions. I sincerely apologize to all three of my victims and their family for what I've done. I truly regret, and I am sorry for what caused them so much pain. On February 16th, 1981, I went to Shelley's house trying to talk to her. I knocked on the kitchen door and her mother answered. She told me that her daughter didn't want to talk to me. I was desperate. I felt like I had to talk to my girlfriend. I wanted to try and salvage the relationship. The rejection was so hurtful for me. My emotions took over and I shot her mother. When her brother heard the shot, he came into the kitchen and I shot him as well. I entered the house and went into the living room to get my girlfriend. I forced my girlfriend to leave the house with me. We left the house through the kitchen where her mother and brother lay on the floor. I can even imagine how scared my girlfriend must have been to see her mother and brother lying there. That must have been very horrifying for my girlfriend. I forced my girlfriend out of the house and took her to a place where we could just talk. My girlfriend and I talked for about 45 minutes about our relationship. After we decided we would go to a friend's house, and my girlfriend suggested that I go get in my car as it was low. Gas in my car was low. I went to get gas and when I returned, I was arrested. I have always been a loner, and because of this, I had a very hard time in school and with my identity. I was harassed, picked on, and bullied while in school. It got pretty bad, and I ended up dropping out of high school at the age of 16. My home life was filled with drama as well. My dad was an alcoholic who verbally abused me, abused my siblings and myself with constant degrading. I felt bullied and picked on in my own home. He even threw me through a glass door. It was the same at school as it was at home. I couldn't get very away from the harassment after I dropped out of school. I worked at different jobs, which never amount to much. At the time of my arrest, I was working at Summit Finishing second shift as a plater. At that time in my life, I had a very negative attitude and outlook on life. All this affected me greatly and started me on my bad behavior. When I turned 18, I joined the military and looked for structure and some positivity that I believe the military could provide. The military wasn't what I envisioned to be and only enhanced my negative outlook on life and failed to help me. When I met my girlfriend, she became my first true love. She was finally the positive light in my life. I was so desperately looking for and needed, I could only dream of how our lives could be in the future. I was happy and my outlook on life was changing. When my girlfriend broke up with me, I was totally devastated. This was a very traumatic event for me. It was like I was being dragged again. It brought up all those negative feelings I believe were in the past. I started spiraling out of control and I wanted to save our relationship. I just wanted to talk to her to see if we could rectify our relationship. Looking back at the day of the crime, now I can understand the trauma I caused my girlfriend. How could her boyfriend have shot her family? Was her mom dead? At the time, I couldn't see how terrified my girlfriend was, but now can see that my girlfriend was totally devastated and scared, even for her own life. Not knowing from one moment to the next what might happen, thinking how can I get away from this person? I understand my understanding emotional trauma myself. I now can understand what I put my girlfriend through. I had broken her trust and her family. How could my girlfriend trust another guy after what I did? Now I try and place myself in the brother's shoes, coming into the kitchen to see his mother lying on the floor in a pool of blood, not knowing if she was dead or alive. The brother must have been so confused and scared, not knowing what was happening. Then being shot himself 4 times and not knowing he was going to live or die. Lying next to the mother, frightened that this could be the end for him. Frightened it was the end for his mother. Not knowing what was going on with his sister. Was she safe? Or did I shoot her too? Helpless that he couldn't protect the both of them. Over the years, I tried to imagine how the day of the crime must have been for the brother, but that is it. I can only imagine. Sorry to say. I can feel what he felt. I can't feel what he felt or what he had to go through after to heal and recover from his physical, emotional wounds. Someone he knew had just shot his mother and then himself. And how do you move forward and trust anyone else? Through the years, I played out the events of that horrific day in my head, trying to figure out why I went to such extremes. To try and rectify the relationship. How this horrible event affected my girlfriend, brother, their dad, their future relationships, and even their kids. They lost a grandmother they would never know. The family who lost a daughter, sister, mother, wife, I can only say I am truly sorry for what I have put. Sorry for any and all hurt I have caused you. I like to take this time to tell you about my time being incarcerated. I try to use this time to improve myself and my outlook on life. I received my GED and entered into many programs and jobs. These programs are Change Program, Family Dynamics Group, Return to Violence, AVP, which is a 2-tier program, basic and advanced, which I completed with twice over the years. I also completed Anger Management, Voices in Prison Fellowship. The program that affected me the most is AVP, Alternative Violence Program. The program put you in a comfortable environment where you can relax and have a good time being a positive person. AVP focus is conflict resolution without violence. Some of the things we worked on are to expect the best, respect yourself, caring for others, thinking before reacting, and seeking a nonviolent solution. They start the program with having you choose a word that starts with the first letter of your name. This is a positive word that is supposed to describe you. I chose maker. So that word made me maker mark for the program. I chose this word because of my faith in God and the maker. When I did this, something happened to me. I felt the change in myself, like God was filling me with his love. I didn't have this feeling before. That's when I knew God wanted me in the AVP program, and I was glad to be there. The program helped me grow, mature, change my outlook on life, and curb bad behavior. Through the program, I made friends that I can share my thoughts and feelings with me. We help each other in good times and bad. I've learned to be a friend and communicate as a person, which was very hard for me to do. Currently, I work in the Correctional Enterprise Connecticut program print shop division for the last 30 years as a plate maker, pressman, making and designing printing plates, running the press, making and printing forms. When the printing press breaks down, I need to diagnose the problem and fix it. This is very methodical process which takes time and patience. I apply these methods to my life as diagnosing the problems. I have and find the solution to fix the problems. I also double as a shop mechanic, fixing most of the machines that break down. These machines are older and need special attention and are hard to diagnose. The issues that arise, this has given me skills which with computers and some new technology, I hope to work in this field if I am released. I maintain an excellent work report and I have also been there for 30 years and get along with staff in person and peers. I've been in prison for 44 years and know if I get out, I'm going to need counseling. I have this and am willing to participate in the sessions. I plan on getting involved with my church in every way I can. I plan on getting a job in the printing field and doing what can be support myself. I may need to move to an assisted living unit upon release, but plan on living with my sister. She is supportive and willing to help me out with anything I need. At the time of my arrest, I was a 19-year-old immature kid, a very negative place in my life. I understand that my past irrational behavior isn't an excuse for what I did. The guilt and remorse I feel as a burden I have to live with for the rest of my life. I wish I could go back and undo the crime and pain I caused everyone. I can't change what I have done, but I can make sure I leave prison a better person. I would like you to see me as a person I am today and not in the juvenile that committed the crimes 44 years ago. I'm sincerely asking you for a chance to be released. I have been reformed. I am a mature man now, not that damaged 19-year-old kid. I can be a productive member of society and a brother to my sister again. I apologize to the victims and their families. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your statement. I believe the state's attorney's office has joined us. Can you please introduce yourself for the record, sir?
Okay, how about now?
Yeah,
Yes, thank you very much. If you don't mind just identifying yourself for the record, with your name, juris number, and address.
Absolutely. And thank you for your patience this morning, members of the board. My name is Mark Ramia. I am representing the state's attorney's office here in Waterbury. I was asked to cover yesterday. I had some trouble getting the link, but everyone was very helpful. So appreciate everyone's patience.
all right, sir, thank you for your statement. Can you please say your name again for the record so that we say it right?
Mark Paul Lemiot.
Lemiot, is that right? Lemiot?
Lemiot.
All right, thank you for the clarification. Okay, so thank you for your statement. I want you to know that in preparation for today's hearing, this panel has reviewed your file extensively. The documents include the police report, the pre-sentence investigation, all of your records from the time that you've spent with the Department of Correction. In addition, we received a memorandum from Attorney Warner, as well as a report from social worker Habith and an evaluation from Dr. Pierre. So we also reviewed your previous hearings before the board. So we are very well versed in your case. We may have some additional questions for you. When we're done with our questions, we'll ask the Office of Victim Services if they have any input. After which your attorney and the state's attorney will have the opportunity to give their statements. At the end of it all, we'll deliberate and we'll give you our decision here today. You're very familiar with the process, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'd also like to ask that you please not refer to the victim as your girlfriend any longer. She wasn't your girlfriend at the time. She was your ex-girlfriend, and out of respect, I would appreciate if you would stop. You've said girlfriend about 22 times now. Please don't do that. We'll begin the questioning with my colleague, Ms. Berry. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Lemiot, I appreciate your opening statement. Thank you for taking us through the offense and some of the things that you've accomplished since you've been there in the prison. I'm going to begin my line of questioning with the actual offense, if that's okay, not to try to relitigate your case or, you've already accepted responsibility, you expressed remorse, just for clarification, if that's okay. Right? So you talked about going to your girl to the victim's house, sorry, Madam Chair, and you wanted to reconcile your relationship with her. Prior to that, had the victim made it perfectly clear that she did not want to be in a relationship with you?
No, she tried talking to me, but she just wanted to get out of the relationship. That was all.
So she didn't want to be with you. Okay.
Yeah.
And according to the police report, you would follow her around. Is that true?
No, I was obsessed with her. That is true. I did not follow her around. I was just trying to get our relationship back together. That's all.
And so when it says that she was at the Waterbury Mall or something, and she was with one of her friends, and you were following her, saying that God meant for the two of you to be together. Do you remember that?
I can't remember that.
So shortly thereafter, I guess you went to a friend's house, and you told that friend that you were going to hypnotize her. kidnap her and kill her?
I didn't do nothing like that, miss.
I'm reading right from the police report, that's why I'm asking. And when, after that day, I guess, it still didn't sit well with you that this victim did not want to be in a relationship with you. And so you went to the home with what intentions?
Try to talk to her like one more time, and that did not work.
But you had the gun in your hand,
Yes, I had a rifle in my hand at the time.
and your intentions with the rifle in your hand going to the home, were you going to kill her?
No.
Because it's not, kind of sounds as if the crime was premeditated.
I did not go there with the intent to kill. I went there to persuade so I can see my girlfriend. That's all. Not to kill.
So
I
once,
went about it the wrong way. And I'm saddened by that.
yes, no, there's no doubt that you absolutely went about it the wrong way. I don't think that any of us think that you handled it properly. I'm just trying to gain a better understanding because what the victim has reported and what you're saying transpired. I'm just trying to make sure that the two line up. So once you had the victim in your possession, were you going to kill her too if she didn't come with
No.
you? Okay. So once she was in the car and you guys were driving, did you pull over to the side of the road and make her have sex with you?
We had sex, yes. I
And
didn't
was
make
that,
her.
you didn't make
I
her?
didn't make her.
So after seeing her mother and brother lying on the ground with bleeding, you think that she wanted to have sex with you?
No, I don't know what's going on at that time. Yeah, we had sex, yes, but I did not make her have sex with me. She could have said no.
Okay, so let's move forward. So once you all had sex and you went to a friend's house, what was do you know what your plan was once you had this victim in your possession? Did you think that life was just going to go on and the two of you were going to just be together?
I didn't think that far ahead.
So it was a spur of the moment kind of thing.
Correct.
All right. So now let's move forward. You accept responsibility for your actions, and now you're incarcerated, and you're sentenced. You pled guilty and accept the responsibility for your actions. You have made several efforts, according to these the documents that I reviewed, to get some sort of relief from this sentence. Can you tell us about how many times you think that you applied either for a sentence modification or commutation? What other relief you've tried?
I can recall trying sentence modification.
You said you can recall or you can't?
I didn't say can't. I said I can only recall trying to get a sentence modification.
And when was that?
That was just before my last pro hearing.
And what happened with that?
The attorney wanted to talk to the victims, and then after that, I was denied.
If you made you
Not
ask,
the attorney, excuse me, the judge, excuse me, I'm mistaken. It was the judge who wanted to talk to the victims, and after he talked to the victims, I was denied.
and I'm asking this because I just wanted to know under what premise you were asking for modification. or the other forms of relief?
I was trying to get, my life sentence removed so I can have a number, so I can have a discharge date. That's all.
So you wanted a discharge date, so you
That's
felt
correct.
if you had been reformed and you deserved to be out in the community.
Correct.
So, let's talk a little bit about that, because that's why we're here today.
Okay.
You have done, you know, I appreciate your work in the French shop, making those license plates. We all use them. So I appreciate your dedication and, your hard work in there. It's my understanding that you were training other people, in your current position and throughout the year. So you really have had a positive impact there. Let's talk a little bit about the victim and what the impact that you believe your crimes may have had on her. For example, could you imagine having to live the remainder of your life with your brother permanently disabled and your mother deceased? And what do you think, or how do you think the crime impacted her?
The impact on her is serious, very serious. I know, because I lost my mother, my father, my brother lost their own time. They died. So I know the impact. And I regret what I've done. I would like to undo what I have done. I can't. I don't have that power to do that. I only have the power instead to change me. And I've done that. And what I mean by that is, when I looked at my OAP, which is the assessment report on what programs you need to take, there was nothing there because of my sentence. So I found out that anger management, voices, thinking for change, and ABP were available. So I went and did those programs on my own. I did that so I can better myself. I did it for me, first and foremost, so I can also deal with the negativity, so I can have a better outcome than I have in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be negative anymore. I want to be positive. I don't want to keep living in the past. That was another reason why I did these programs. I just wanted to better myself, and I did. And I've used the tools that I have acquired in ABP to help me to deal with negative situations and people that come my way. In addition to that, those tools also help me to be more respectful and more courtesy towards staff and inmates, and which I do. When a staff member opens the door for me, I apologize. I thank them. And I also say, have a good day and move on, because I understand the staff here has a hard time dealing with other inmates that are a lot worse than I was. I'm one of the nicest inmates in here because I'm living a positive life. I'm not living a negative life anymore. I stopped that because I understand when I live a negative life, I'm hurting others. And I don't like that. I do not like that. Don't want to continue with that.
Well, that's good. I mean, honestly, that does show some maturation and some growth. You want to be a better person, and that is one of the ways that you can, you know, honor your victims by living life, you know, trying to be of service to other people and thinking positively and having a positive approach and a desire never to hurt anyone ever again. Those are all positive things. So I'm not trying to take anything away from that. But I heard you say that you want to move on with your life and that you wish that you could take it back. I would argue that your victim probably wants the same, you know, but there is no relief for her. There is no relief for her deceased mother or her brother who's now blind. They have, this is something that they probably revisit every single time that you apply for some form of relief. And so, while I can appreciate everything that you've done to better yourself, I would say that the victims are probably always searching for more answers or blaming herself maybe for all of this happening, taking ownership of the things that you've done because of her. So those are things to think about. I appreciate the discussion that we've had thus far. So let's move a little bit forward and talk about your support in the community. Who do you have out there? I heard you say your mom was deceased, your dad's deceased, and your brother is deceased. Who else?
That's it. That's correct. That is true. I have support my sister. I have a couple of retired Catholic priests in the community. I also have relatives in Canada that I stay in touch with through phone calls. And in addition to all the support that I have, the other thing I noticed about myself is I learned to pay it forward. What I mean by that is when people I know or even people I don't know are in need, I help them out.
Good.
And I don't expect nothing in return.
Good. Good. I think that's what we're all supposed to do. There are some people who want recognition for the good things that they do. But for the most part, that's what we're supposed to do. And you talked a lot about your spirituality, and how God played a positive role in your life and he loves you. And that's their challenge to do, but because of that love, pay it forward,
Right.
Okay. So I read somewhere, I know that your attorney and Mr. Habib, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, flew out to see your sister and talk to her, right? And you wanted to go and live with your sister in Florida?
That's correct.
And, I think when you were interviewed by the officer in preparation for today, you said that your sister is struggling financially and she has struggled with her residence. Is that true?
It's because of her health. She says her health is maybe.
Her health is ailing.
Yeah.
And is she still working?
No,
She's not working. Okay. Okay. Oh. People are back out. What I had. Okay. I'm going to go to pass on the questioning. If I have other questions, Madam Chair, I just want to.
Sure.
But thank you for speaking with me, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Lamiot, did I get that right?
Yes.
Lamiot. Okay. Okay, got it. All right, thank you. I too want to go back to the offense. And I'm sorry, again, we're not here to retry, but I do have a couple questions. What was it about the victim that made you obsessed with her?
she was the first true light in my life. My ex-girlfriend and we hit it off. We're going forward in life. I was able to put my identity crisis behind me, all the pain, all the suffering, everything behind me. I didn't realize at that time I was suppressing all that. And that is the main reason why I went and did all these programs so I can correct all that and get rid of all that nonsense so that when something like this comes up again, I'd be in a better position to walk away with a positive attitude. She was, like I said, she was the only person that really gave me joy in life. I don't know how to really explain that, but it's just that I felt really good with her. And then just to have that, lose all that, and all these bad things came up, and my emotion got the best of me, and the rest was history.
So I want to make sure I understand correctly. You said, you were able to address some things that you were suppressing. Did you share a lot of things with her?
Just about our relationship only. I never shared with her my past. I never talked about it. That I was suppressing all that.
Right, so how did she make you realize that you were suppressing that?
She did not make me realize it. I found out after the fact, I found out not too long ago, actually, that was
Okay.
suppressing all this.
Okay, all right, so she was the first person to make you happy because, and we did
Correct.
read about your home life. It was horrible. Your
It
home
was.
life in your
That's
youth.
right.
We did
correct.
read about that, and I'm sorry, nobody should have to go through that. But I was a little concerned when I read in your interview with the parole officer, you said that she cut things off with you cold turkey.
That's,
Like you were shocked. You didn't see it coming. But what I read in the official documents is that you had choked her prior. Do you recall that?
I might have done it one time, yes.
Well, what do you mean you might have done it one time? I don't want you to minimize it. I'm asking you a
No,
question.
I'm not excuse me a minute. Yeah, I did do that to her.
Okay, so then after choking someone, why would it be a shock to you that they didn't want to be with you anymore?
I was not thinking rationally.
Okay.
I was not processing the situation correctly.
Okay, and what were the circumstances that arose that led to you choking her?
That one blocked out. I think because she's trying to break off the relationship, I believe.
Okay. So you were having issues clearly in the relationship.
Yeah, I was. That's true.
Okay, all right. Okay, and I understand you want us to look at the person you are today, and we do, but you're here because of the crimes you committed. So we have to look at your past. We just don't have a choice. Okay. Now, when she left with you, after you shot her mother and brother, when she left with you, did she leave of her own free will, in your opinion?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay.
No.
So you forced her to leave.
Yes, ma'am.
You had a gun and a knife. Right?
I had a gun.
You didn't put a knife in the glove compartment when she asked you to?
I don't recall that.
Okay, well, according to the official documents, you also had a knife and she was fearful, so she asked you to put it in the glove compartment.
I don't remember that.
Okay, all right. Well, you made a statement to my colleague earlier that she could have said no to the sex. Right?
Yes, I did say that.
Okay, well, when you forced her to leave with you with a gun, right?
Right.
And I'm telling you that you had a knife. How does one say no when they're fearful for their life?
You can't.
So then she couldn't have said no.
Right, correct. Looking back, I can see she couldn't do it.
Right.
I'm putting
Okay.
myself in her shoes now.
Okay. All right. You also said that you know about the impact to her because your family members died.
Right.
Let's talk a little more about that. Were your family members murdered?
No comparison.
Thank you. I want to make that very clear. It's a natural part of life. We expect people to die of other causes. No one expects their mother and their 11-year-old brother to be shot in front of them. There is no comparison. So
No
you can't
comparison.
possibly know the impact
No,
to the victims.
not,
Okay,
no, I can't.
okay, very good. I want you to know we did receive support letters from your cousins, family members, your sister, DOC chaplain, well, two chaplains, You received good evaluation from your programs, excellent evaluations for your work in the prison. So there are people who think highly of you in this world. I want you to know that. I understand you've been very involved in church, and I hope that is helpful for you. I read in your interview with the parole officer where you said that you're still working on your anger. What does that mean, sir?
Well, I've been noticing I don't get upset like I used to because I've been working the program. I'm using the tools. And I'm staying positive. And what I'm doing now is basically what I'm doing with that is it's a work in progress because every situation is not the same. They're all different. But the main thing I'm getting out of this is that when a negative situation comes my way, first thing I think about, I'm not going to feed into this. I stop and I pull myself away and I listen to the argument, whatever is being presented, and I don't feed into the negativity with negative. I try my best to feed into it with positive energy. And that's my ongoing work with my attitude. And I keep that going because I don't want to go back the other way I was. It's that being negative is downright hurtful. I don't want that no more. I want to stay positive, and I do that. Matter of fact, recently, I had a situation at work where it was a misunderstanding on my part. I give you that, and so I stepped away. And then later on, we're talking again because I did the right thing. I kept a positive attitude. If I didn't keep the positive attitude, that situation would have got worse. And I see that. And I'm grateful I kept a positive attitude and then I stepped away and let things calm down inside my head. And then I approached the person and things are working good.
Okay, good.
I mean, it's work in progress.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're working on your anger. And, I did notice some of that anger when I listened to your previous hearings. It really appeared like you were angry at the victims for coming forward and preventing you from being released. You said many times that, the victims should just get over it or move on. I don't know the exact language, and that they keep coming and you keep getting denied. How do you feel about that today?
Second, that's the way I can describe how I feel about my situation, doing all that. I really do feel bad about that. I wish I never did that. And today, I'm glad they're here. I'm glad that they're speaking up for themselves. I wish them good health and a better future. I don't want to continue with this negativity. I want to stop it.
Yeah.
That's
The
how I
truth
feel
is,
about it.
they should feel comfortable coming to every single one of your hearings to speak. And you should never be angry at anybody else for your actions.
That is correct.
Good. Okay. I'm glad to hear that that difference here today too, because that really it was disturbing to hear when you reacted to the victims participating. This is something they'll never get over. So you told my colleague earlier you asked for a sentence modification to put a number or an end date to your sentence, right? Because it's a life sentence.
That is
What is
correct.
appropriate, in your opinion, what is an appropriate amount of time for what you've done?
In my opinion, 60 years number I was looking at.
Did you say 60 years?
Yeah. I've been
Okay.
down 44 years already.
Yep. All right. Thank you for speaking with me. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, Mr. Lemmerhout, my colleagues have asked you a lot of questions already, gone through the offense, done everything. I'm just, I'm glad that you've, taken time to take programming and to improve yourself. And this was a horrendous offense that left a family's lives in trauma and forever. It can never, ever change that. Why did you carry a rifle to this offense?
I was thinking rationally, sir.
Well, why'd you carry it? What made you
I
think
always
about,
wa-
oh, I'm gonna bring my rifle and see him talk to him? Why'd you take it out of the car?
Actually, that's where I was keeping it. To be honest with you, I actually kept it there. So it was
Was your
always with me.
intent, was it your intent to use the weapon?
No.
No, I don't understand that. I don't understand why you would take it out of the car. I don't get that. Why you would take it, and bring it to the, I just don't get that.
I'm not thinking rationally at the time, sir. I'm not thinking rationally. If I was thinking rationally, I would.
I understand that. I understand that you weren't thinking rash at the time, and you were upset and angry and hurt and all those things. But still, imagine not having taken the weapon, you probably would not be sitting where you're sitting right now.
True, very true. If I didn't have the weapon, I wouldn't be here. That is a true statement.
And what made you decide? Well, what was your thought at the time of the brother shooting the brother? What was your thinking at that time? You already shot the mother, so you'd already done something.
I panicked.
Thinking what? That he would say who you are or identify you or?
No, I just panicked. I didn't expect him to come in here.
Yeah. I mean, this was just such a tragic event. The lives lost in this event. Everybody all around. And then to have to continue to experience it over and over again. At all these different times. I would agree with my colleagues. You've done some good work. Really have. You really, and I can hear some change in you. But it's hard to get past the nature of this offense and the trauma that it's left behind for individuals and for this family.
I can
So
respect that.
I appreciate you, listening to me, and I don't really have a lot of questions for you because I think my colleagues really went through a lot, really kind of go through this whole thing. But thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Lamiota, at this time, we're going to ask the Office of Victim Services if they have any input for us today. Ms. Vasquez, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, board members. I had the opportunity of doing outreach to the victims, and at this time, they have respectfully declined to participate in today's hearing or to not submit a statement, citing the ongoing trauma they continue to experience as a result of the crime. This is all that I have for this case. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We need to make a statement. We'll begin with State's Attorney Radio. If you have any comments or remarks you'd like to make, you may do so now.
Distinguished members of the board, we appreciate the time and the opportunity to present our position on this particular matter. I won't take up too much time, but I think the state echoes some of the board's concerns. These are very disturbing facts, very alarming circumstances, and based in part on the facts and circumstances, we are opposed to any modification to his particular sentence. Now, the board is certainly well aware of the various aspects and goals and purposes of the criminal justice system. And the state also echoes the board's recognition of the defendant's efforts that have been made over the course of his sentence. That really is what we hope happens when an individual is incarcerated, that they do take advantage of the counseling, they do take advantage of the services, the educational opportunities, to use their time in a useful manner to hopefully rehabilitate themselves. And he certainly has done that, and we certainly appreciate that. But the state's other concern, separate and apart from rehabilitation, is the punitive aspect of our goals. and the overall deterrent effect that sentences have. So in this particular situation, the defendant did receive a sentence based upon our evaluation of all the facts and circumstances that is commensurate with the depraved nature of this particular incident. It is a significant sentence, but it is on par essentially with his actions on that particular date. So while the state does appreciate all the efforts that he has made to better himself and rehabilitate himself, we believe that the sentence that was imposed by the court should be upheld by this particular board. It is imperative that the victims in this particular case and victims from other cases can rely on those particular sentences that are imposed by the court. And this was a sentence that the court imposed based upon all the information that it had at the time. It was based upon the level and extent of trauma that was imposed on the particular victims. And again, while we appreciate all the efforts to rehabilitate himself, we believe that the sentence that was imposed by the court is a fair one. And we are asking the board to deny his request for any modification of the sentence at this time.
Thank you, Attorney Ramey.
Thank you. So now we will proceed with Attorney Warner. If you have any final remarks you would like to make, you may do so now.
Thank you. Thank you to the board for taking your time. I know the board has heard Mr. Lamahau. This is the 10th time you've heard his case. But I appreciate you taking the time under 23-169 to take into the account the nature of Mr. Lamahau and how he was at 19 years old as opposed to today at 64. Just to address some things that came up, I know there was an issue with the support of his sister who lives in Florida, and she's not currently working. So when we met with her, she was working. She's had some medical issues come up that prevent her from working full time right now. As of 2 weeks ago, we spoke to her and she indicated she was still picking up shifts. She's a nurse. She's able to pick up shifts from time to time, but she's hoping that her medical issues will get better and she can return to work. Also, with him going to Florida, if he was released, that is a long-term goal. And I did mention that in my memorandum. Mark is clear that, you know, he would not be released to Florida, and that would actually be quite far in the future. And obviously, his sister would have to be in a better position for parole to agree to that. So just the fact that she's not doing well right now doesn't mean in the future that she won't be a bigger support for him. To address the sentence, as Attorney Ramey brought up, I would just point out to the board that if this crime committed would happen today, Mr. Mark would not be able to get the sentence that he got. He got an indeterminate sentence of life in prison. Now life in prison is 60 years. And so
Everything you just said.
all right, sorry about that. Somehow we got muted. But as I was saying, if this happened today, he would have received a 6-year sentence, which he's already completed 44 years of, which in 3 months will be 45 years. Mark understands the impact that he has created for this family, that he has harmed this family beyond all belief. And he is appreciative of the sentence he received and why he received it. But I do think that he is appropriate for parole. He has spent the last 44 years, he spent essentially his entire adult life in prison. He has managed to stay out of trouble. He has not had a ticket in 30 years. And even when he had tickets in his first 13 years, he had 5 tickets. He's a model inmate. He has done all the programming that he can do. He has addressed his anger and violence through doing the AVP program twice. And he's talked about the impact that had on him. He's done anger management, voices, the change program. He has dedicated himself to his religion and been a positive impact in the Osborne community. As outlined by Dr. Peer in his report, Mark suffers from a significant learning disability that not only impacts his ability to learn, but also impacts his ability to effectively communicate with others. I think some of this is why when I watched his 2023 parole hearing, there were some things that were said that probably were taken negatively by the board and by anybody probably watching. But I think it's because of the way he processes and is able to give answers that sometimes don't match up to the question involved. And I think that's outlined in Dr. Pierce's report. Even with this learning disability, Dr. Pierce reports that when he went to jail at 19, he was reading at a first grade level, but he's able to overcome some of that by getting his GED. He took some classes as Untitled Community College. He was not able to get enough credits to graduate, and that's not surprising with his disability, but he has applied himself positively through his education and through working. He's worked at the same job for over 30 years. He has excellent reviews. I've done several of these hearings. I've never seen a review. Usually they're just checked off the boxes and say, oh, he's a great worker. And in that review that I cited to in my report or my memorandum, there was like a lengthy paragraph of how great he is and how he's so respectful to the staff, how he trains all the new employees, how he's a very dedicated, hardworking guy. And I think that would translate to the community if he was released. I know in the past hearings, the board had a lot of questions of whether Mark ever felt remorse. And I can tell you, I've worked with Mark for a year now and meeting with him. And again, this goes to what Dr. Pierce reporting. It's hard for him to appropriately talk about his feelings in a manner that people will understand. He comes off, as Dr. Pierce says, odd and awkward when he speaks. And that's due to his disability. But I think today he was able to get across, to the board. He can't put himself into this family's shoes, as the parole board mentioned when he said about his family members dying, and that it's not comparable. And he admitted that it's not comparable. He understands that. And he has a lot of empathy to the family and what he's done. He knows that he has torn apart these people's lives. And that, unfortunately, is never going to change. When Mark passes away, the pain is still going to remain. Everyone who knew the Shagrues will always have that pain. And that's something that Mark can never change. It's something the Shagrues will never change. And it's been like that for 44 years. And if the board denies Mark and schedules him for a rehearing in 5 years, that pain will still be there. That will never change. And so I'm hoping that the parole board can focus on what can change for Mark and what has changed, because the crime will never change. That what happened, unfortunately, happened and destroyed lives, and that will never change. But Mark has changed. Mark has been able to apply himself, learn about himself, and become a positive member of the DOC community, and hopefully a positive member back into our community. And I think if he is released, I don't think that he is a risk to the community. The DIS shows that he's low for recidivism. He never had a criminal record before this crime when he was 19. He's only had 5 tickets in 44 years, none in 30 years. He can follow the rules of society that are laid out to him. And I think that he would be a good person for release. And I would ask your parole board to release him to the appropriate housing facility for a halfway house where he can do education and treatment and hopefully get employment and transition back to society. Thank you. The board is muted. The board is muted. They're going to work on that.
We got it. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Lamiote, at this point, the panel is going to enter into deliberation to discuss your case. Everyone's welcome to listen to our deliberation, and we'll come back to you when we're done with our decision. Okay? Ms. Berry, we'll begin with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Mario's attorney talks about his prior hearings, and while I can appreciate all his efforts to for relief, I feel like I had fresh eyes on this. I've never sat on his panel. I don't recall ever reviewing this case, and so for me, being those fresh eyes, reading this file, I could visualize this happening, and I hate to say that because it was so egregious, and I think that Mr. Lemia appreciates that it is a horrible crime. I also can appreciate all his efforts to turn his life around. And he sounds very positive, very upbeat, very optimistic about his life and the direction that it's going in. And I hope that he remains that way. And I do hear change. I appreciated his answers to our questions here today. I think that he took time to think things through before speaking. And he didn't deny much of it. He said, a few times that I don't recall it being that way, but, especially in terms of what transpired between he and the victim after he took her out of the house. My issue with this is that despite all the good work that Mr. Lemia has done to turn his life around, as his attorney stated, the nature of the crime will never change.
Right.
The impact of this crime will never change to the victims. And we're not here to commute his sentence, so we can't give him a 60-year beat. But I just think that based on the nature of this crime, I cannot support discretionary parole at this time. I've taken into account his age. I've taken into account all the good things that he's done as well. And I cannot move past the nature of these crimes. And so for those reasons, Madam Chair, my vote will be to deny his request.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to have a little bit of a different approach. So when we look at Public Act 23-169, we're asked to look at three major things, right? Whether there's a reasonable probability that the person we're seeing will live and remain at liberty without violating the law. Then there's the benefit to such person and society substantially outweighing the benefit to the person and society if they were, say, incarcerated. But if, the release outweighs incarceration, and whether the person before us has demonstrated substantial rehabilitation. And the substantial rehabilitation includes factors such as remorse, expressing appropriate remorse, addressing past traumas, and of course, programming behavior in the institution and such. I'm not sure that I can say with any confidence that any of those three things are true here. I don't have that confidence based on what's in front of me. After 44 years of incarceration, I'm still hearing some inappropriate things come from Mr. Lamiote. I'm not sure if the remorse is genuine or not, or if after 9 hearings we're getting statements of what the board wants to hear, should hear, and then some truths are slipping out with things such as she had a choice. She could have said no to the sex or knowing what the impact is to I corrected him and then it all changed, but I'm not sure that it's genuine or not. I cannot say for certain based on the fact that he doesn't know other than he wasn't thinking rationally why he did these things or how it happened or why you go there with a gun. Horrible crime, and his attorney is right. The nature will never change.
Right.
It'll never change. And it's not fair that the victims have to keep coming back and being re-traumatized. If he thinks 60 years is fair, maybe we should revisit this at 60 years. I mean, that's a life sentence today. And that's a murder we're not even accounting for. And we haven't talked a lot about what that 11-year-old
Went
boy
through.
had to go through for all of these years now,
That seemed like it's just a senseless.
being blinded. And I just can't imagine the nightmares, right? We all have nightmares. Imagine those nightmares. Can't imagine. And the kidnapping victim who's still living with this every day. So I agree with you. My vote today would be to deny as well. And I don't want to keep putting the victims through this. So I would not be in favor of a rehear. Mr. Rodriguez.
I think both of you have, clearly outlined, the challenges in this case and what's going on. It's just such a horrendous case. And I don't want to take away from what Mr. Unhot has been able to do for himself. I mean, he's done some work, he's done tickets, he's done programming, he's done those kinds of things. But I also didn't get a sense of real remorse as well, Madam Chair, what you shared. I'm not going to be supporting it today as well. I'm going to be denied today as well. I just cannot imagine what this family is going through and has gone through in all of this. So also for me, the nature of this offense is just too much. And the impact of these victims is just for me too much.
Okay.
I would also not be in favor.
Okay. You didn't speak to that at all?
I'll be here.
Reasons, obviously.
Nature and circumstance.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's.
All right. In the matter of Mark Lamio, inmate number 103702, I'll move to deny parole with no new hearing due to the nature and circumstance of your offenses. In accordance with board policy, this case will be reviewed administratively in 5 years to determine whether there is enough new mitigating information to warrant further parole hearing. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, sir, you've been denied. We thank everyone for their appearance here today. Wish you the best.
Thank you all. This concludes the Public Act 23-169 hearing for Lamio, inmate number 103702 at 10:15 a.m.
Thank goodness there was a denial. And basically what that means is administratively in 5 years, they will review, they'll have the docket in front of them, whoever is on the board, and they will say, should we give him another parole hearing? And they will do that, I suppose, every 5 years. And I guess what's important to say is that although we did not watch his 2023 hearing, I did read notes from it. And at that time, he was denied parole, and they said that they did not think a future hearing would be likely. But yet here we are just 2 years after that date having that hearing. So I actually, there's no guarantee. I have no idea how they got to the point that we have a hearing again 2 years later. And as you can see, the victims, they just can't even bring themselves to continue to show up and be re-victimized over and over and over again. And we even heard that this was I think his 10th hearing. I just don't, I guess it's a combination of commutation hearings or he's just been given so many opportunities. And it's shocking. It's shocking to hear him say that the victim had a choice. It's shocking to hear him. And you hear that again, you just need to put yourself in the horror of this situation. The in my notes, it says 10-year-old boy who shot and blinded, forever blinded. The last thing he were to ever see would be his mother dying on the floor. For her to I mean, again, you just can't I don't think there's anything that I need to say that will emphasize just how insane and disturbing this case is. I thought the parole board said it quite nicely. The DA, lackluster. I guess, to his excuse, he wasn't, I think, supposed to be on the case. He said that he was brought in and it's a last minute thing, so maybe he just knew nothing about it, so stuck to, like, the paper, you know, reasons why not to parole him. But it always does boggle the mind when this is someone's 10th chance, when he just recently had a parole hearing, and I'll read you some notes from that hearing. And then his defense attorney still gives the excuse that he's learning disabled, and that's why. And for those of you who know anything about, been watching this long enough, will know that I take great offense to whenever they bring up the learning disabled cue. I took the short bus to school. I never had a passing report card. I've been put back grades. I dropped out of high school, and had I not dropped, I'd still be in high school because I couldn't pass a test. So yes, I checked the boxes of learning disabled, and no, I wouldn't, you know, use that as an excuse. It's insane. The idea that they try to use learning disabled as a cloak for being psychopathic. I'm not diagnosing anyone. I'm speculating on a situation like this, but it's funny. It is. It's really funny. And I don't know what these attorneys are doing for these guys, like what it is. I really wonder. I wonder how much they're getting paid by the state. And I wonder what they're doing because you would think that, especially after the hearing he had a couple years ago, they would have just read over his opening statement and said, maybe don't call her a girlfriend. You think that they'd prepare him, but the more I see these hearings, the more I realize that I don't think they really do much. I think they're there just for the check. I think that they're just kind of, that's just my opinion. You got to be careful when you say things about attorneys, right? Now, okay, let me read to you from the transcripts. This is what happened in 2023. For the ninth time, the state parole board denied releasing Mark Paul from prison for the brutal murder of his ex-girlfriend's mother in 1981. All you care about is the victim. You don't care about me. This is what he said in 2023. A frustrated Mark told the parole board after the decision during a virtual hearing. Um, he was serving a life sentence for the murder of Mary, who was 44 at the time, 44, and the shooting of her then 11-year-old son in their Woodbury home. He was 19 in February 1981, when he went to his ex-girlfriend's home, upset about their breakup and hoped to reconcile the relationship. Prosecutors at the time said that he appeared at the back door of their home carrying a rifle. When the mother answered the door, she told him that her daughter no longer wanted to see him, according to the Republican American Archives. The mother told him to put the gun down, and then she was shot multiple times. Her son, hearing the shots, ran into the kitchen and he shot him 3 times, twice in the head and once in the chest. He was blinded, as you know, plus who knows what else. And the way that he talks about it, I didn't know what to do. It's like a little boy. What, like, you just, he then forced his ex-girlfriend out of her mother's home, brought her to a friend's home, told the friend's parents what happened. Okay, so they skip over the other details. In prison, he said that he found God and he's worked at the printing shop for 28 years. In his brief remarks, he said he is not the same person he was 42 years ago when he committed the crimes. I just would like to get out, but it's not up to me. I just don't have much to say. I have no interest in hurting anybody. I regret what I did, I wish it never took place. I have to live with it. How often have we heard that, huh? Parole board members appeared taken aback by his lack of sympathy, especially after emotional letters from the survivors and their relatives were read onto the record. Having to listen to those statements, do you see why your comments to the parole officers that you just want to go home is lacking on sensitivity, is selfish, and pretty cruel? One board member said. Yes, he said. When pressed for an explanation on why he committed the murder and shooting, there was little to satisfy the board members. I was obsessed with her. I was in love with her. She was my first love, and I was wrong. And it says here he can reapply in 5 years. Board members were doubtful that it would be approved. And I don't know why we're seeing him again just 2 years later. And again, it's like they had some type of administrative hearing where they would see him again, and that doesn't make sense to me. And that's just insane. And I thought when I was listening to this, it felt to me like he still had some weird, like he still thinks that he's in love with her and still thinks he has a chance with her. That was the vibe I got. I really did. There's just something so, and this crime, it feels like a crime that we've seen before, that we've seen historically, that we've seen happen, these nut job. It reminds me of that time. Remember, it was all over the news when I think a similar age, he came trying to bash down his ex-girlfriend's door, but the dad had a gun and dad killed him. And there were a bunch of morons out there saying, Dad shouldn't have killed him. It's like, shut up, I just can't with you. But there it is. And yeah, I have the article written all the way back in 1981. I'll put a link in the description. It's just a disturbing case. And there's so much to say about it. You hear just the way that he answers the questions and that he's still just a complete, these people are so dangerous. But there you go. There you have it. With that, I'll let you go.
You also said that you know about the impact to her because your family members died.
Right.
Let's talk a little more about that. Were your family members murdered?
No comparison.
Thank you. I want to make that very clear. It's a natural part of life. We expect people to die of other causes. No one expects their mother and their 11-year-old brother to be shot in front of them. There is no comparison. So you can't possibly know the impact to
No,
the victim.
not,
I'd also like to ask that you please not refer to the victim as your girlfriend any longer. She wasn't your girlfriend at the time. She was your ex-girlfriend, and out of respect, I would appreciate if you would stop. You've said girlfriend about 22 times now. Please don't do that.